Calaroga Shark Media.
Hello and welcome to Palace Intrigue. I am your host, Mark Francis. Sarah Vine in the Daily Mail writes, "Okay, I take it all back. Following the King's cancer diagnosis last week, I had naively hoped that such a serious health crisis might bring, or at least start to bring, Prince Harry to his senses. I thought it might make him understand the importance of family, maybe see the pressures the King has been under over the past few years, perhaps feel a pang of sympathy for the old man. But after the Duke and Duchess's latest move, rebranding their Archewell website as Sussex.com, complete with coat of arms, I give up. They are, I'm afraid, beyond redemption. No wonder Prince William is believed to have refused to see his brother on his flying visit to the UK last week. No wonder he only had about half an hour with King Charles. They must have known this was in the pipeline. They must have known this was Harry's next step in his quest to have his cake and eat it. Because it seems to me that this is not only a shameless name grab and an attempt to commercialise the title conferred upon them by the late Queen after Meghan married into the royal family, it also goes against her explicit wishes. I mean, Harry has always been an entitled little brat, but this really takes the biscuit. His people naturally have hit back. A source close to the couple says, Prince Harry and Meghan are the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. That is a fact. It is their surname and family name, which is, like so much that emerges from their camp, palpable nonsense. Sussex is emphatically not their family surname. That is Mountbatten, Windsor, as evidenced on Archie's birth certificate, and in any case, Sussex is not a name, it's a royal title, conferred upon them by the late Queen. Inter alia, Archie himself has a courtesy title, Dumbarton, which his parents have apparently decided not to use in case he gets called dumb at school. Canadian broadcaster Scott Moore, the new CEO of Invictus Games, was curious on how to address Harry and Meghan. Richard Eden reports in the Mail that Moore said, I did make sure to ask how I should be addressing them when they get here. I was told the simple, Sir and Ma'am is fine. Prince Harry and Meghan Markle celebrated Valentine's Day in Whistler, Canada, engaging with Invictus Games athletes and military veterans during a training session ahead of next year's event. During the visit, Prince Harry took the opportunity to try out sit-skiing, a winter sport adapted for individuals who use wheelchairs or who have difficulty standing for extended periods. Harry's attempt at sit-skiing saw him sharing laughter and engaging with the competitors, while Meghan observed the activities. The oft-quoted body expert Judy James tells The Express, there was a sense that this was pretty much the Meghan show, as Meghan stepped out in dazzling white jeans and top, wearing an excited, motivated eye expression and a wide, symmetric smile that she aimed at the cameras and her hosts. The romantic hand clasp was still very much a feature, and at one point Harry seems to try to get his wife's eye attention by pulling the clasp closer to his torso, while Meghan looks away. Her signals of taking the lead come from the way she walks out first or even seems to stride in the lead when they are together, with a much more casually clad Harry keeping his head down and one hand in his jeans pocket. As Meghan walks first, she even performs what looks like a gesture of endorsement and approval to the cameraman, reaching one arm out to touch him, suggesting a rapport that Harry has never really enjoyed, unless this is their own camera crew on site and she was acknowledging them. An insider tells The Times that Harry and Meghan's new website isn't any sort of problem for the rest of the royal family. It hasn't even been part of a conversation. Harry is more concerned about the health and well-being of the King and Princess Kate and thinks that is where the focus should be. In recent promotional photos for the reboot of her failed podcast, Meghan was spotted donning Princess Diana's esteemed £18,000 Cartier watch. Meghan complimented the iconic gold timepiece with a lavish £5,000 bracelet and a chic, sleeveless, deep grey polo neck dress. However, Meghan's decision to wear Diana's jewellery has stirred scepticism among royal commentators. Phil Dampier, a notable royal author, shared his reservations with The Sun, stating, Meghan doesn't often wear Diana's jewellery, but to wear it in a photo like this adds to the feeling they are trying to project their royal status. Palace Intrigue will be right back. In The Independent, Sean O'Grady writes, there is a form of kind of madness that infects people who become obsessed, and not in a particularly kindly way, with the affairs of Harry and Meghan. What should be termed Sussex derangement syndrome, SDS, has now spread from a few pockets in the tabloid press, which had a vested interest, to a disturbingly large proportion of the social media community. It's reported that Harry and Meghan are going to use a new name for themselves and their children, who have hitherto been lumbered with the current royal surname of Mountbatten Windsor. Harry, Meghan, Archie and Lilibet would all prefer to be called Sussex. Outrage all round, a snub to their noble kin, a new rift, a rebuke to the United Kingdom, renunciation of 1,000 years of history, that sort of thing. It doesn't matter what they call themselves, and the SBS folk need to calm down and study a little history. Fact is that most British royal names are actually made up, completely inauthentic, and, without being rude, bogus. Mountbatten Windsor derives from the surnames of Prince Philip and Elizabeth II. Both are, in fact, arbitrary. The name Windsor was famously adopted by George V in 1917 because the existing dynastic name Saxe-Coburg und Gotha carried an embarrassingly German vibe to it after the Great War broke out. Mountbatten was adopted by that branch of the family when George V ruled that all Germanic names among the aristocracy be expunged, as with his own, and the real name of Battenberg was transposed and anglicized. A new book suggests Charles sometimes sleeps in an oxygen tent. In the newly released book My Mother and I by royal biographer Ingrid Seward, she notes, the Queen never understood Charles' pampered lifestyle and found it rather mystifying, as by nature Charles is not a selfish man, but a life of being deferred to often stopped him considering others. He has no sympathy for trivial ailments and combats his own sinus problems by sleeping in an oxygen tent. Tiredness or oversleeping are not acceptable excuses for missing even an hour's work, and he will never have a lie-in on a Sunday morning, even if he is feeling unwell. The book also reveals that Prince Philip had a coded nickname for Meghan, Do W, likening her to Wallis Simpson, Duchess of Windsor. This comparison stemmed from Meghan's American nationality and status as a divorcee, drawing parallels to the history of Edward VIII's abdication to marry Wallis Simpson. Seward describes Queen Elizabeth as the master of understatement delivered in the best deadpan voice. She recounted how the Queen described Meghan's wedding dress as too white and referred to Prince Harry being too in love with Meghan. And there you have it. If you'd like to email us, our address is thepalaceintrigue@gmail.com. Please follow us on Spotify, Apple, or your app of choice. If you're on YouTube, hit that subscribe button. It really helps us out. I'm Mark Francis. My thanks to John McDermott. This is Palace Intrigue. Good times.